In this lesson, we're going to look at finding a formula for the general rule. You'll be given a number sequence and your task is to work out a general rule and then to use it to find an unknown number in the sequence. Like you might be asked to find what's the 100th term or the 1000th term. In the general rule checkpoint, you learned how to work out the general rule using the difference d and the first term t1. We used the following method to work out the general rule. T equals dn plus something, and that something was t1 minus d. So this could be written as, so let's look at that again. T equals dn, the common difference times the term number, plus t1 minus d, the first term minus the common difference. Now this sounds very complicated, but let's look at it in practice and you'll see it's quite easy. If you're given a table of numbers, it's quite easy to work out the things you need. The first thing we need is the first term, so let's write it down. T1 equals 6. So just work out the difference between 10 and 6. 10 take away 6 is 4. Check that it works each time. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 4 is 14, plus 4 is 18, etc. Then we've got to work out t1 minus d, so that's 2. Alright, 6 take away 4 is 2. So now we can use the formula to write down the general rule for this pattern, which becomes m equals 4n plus 2, because in this case d is 4 and t1 minus d is 2. Now we've got to use the general rule to find the number of matches in the 10th pattern. So all we have to do is replace the n with 10 and we'll get 4 times 10 plus 2 and the answer is 42. So there will be 42 matches in the 10th pattern. Here's a very similar problem, except we've got to give the general rule in terms of d. Well, what's the first term? It's 4. What's the common difference? 7 take away 4 is 3. What is the first term take away that common difference? 4 take away 3 is 1. So we'll use the formula to find the general rule. This time it's going to be d equals 3n plus 1. Now we're asked to find the number of dots in the 100th pattern. Well, all we have to do is use the general rule and replace the n with 100. So it becomes 3 times 100 plus 1, or 301. So our answer will be there are 301 dots in the 100th pattern. Now there's a slight change in this one. First of all, we're going to find the general rule in terms of L, but that's not the big change. Let's see. What's the first term? What's the common difference? 7 take away 2 is 5. What's the first term take away the common difference? Oh, there's a change. 2 take away 5 is negative 3. Let's see what that does. We'll use our formula to find the general rule, so it's going to be L equals 5b plus, but here we must write minus 3. Now remember the rules of integers, if there's a plus and a minus together, they change to a minus. So our final equation will be that, L equals 5b subtract 3. And then there won't be change here, as long as you remember to subtract 3 and not add 3. To find the number of lollies in the 20th pattern, you just replace b with 20. So 5 times 20 take away 3, that's 100 take away 3, which is 97. So your answer is there will be 97 lollies in the 20th pattern. Now you don't need a table, a number sequence will be fine to work out the general rule. Remember, the first thing you do is write down the first term, so t1 equals 9. Then we work out the common difference, so take the second number and minus the first number, we get 3. Then we take our first number and we subtract the common difference, so 9 take away 3 is 6. Then we use our formula to work out the general rule, and in this case it's going to be t equals 3n plus 6, because of the values I've just worked out. And again you'll be asked to find a term. For example, here you're asked to find the 10th term, so just replace the n with 10. 3 times 10 plus 6, that's 36. So your 10th term will be 36. And one last one. Here's another number sequence, so let's just do it all again. The first term is 1. The common difference, 7 take away 1 is 6. Then t1 minus d, this time it's going to be negative again. 1 take away 6 is negative 5. Use the formula, so we substitute in the value of d and that other value. So t will be 6n plus negative 5. And then using the rules of integers, a plus and a minus together changes to a minus. So our general term becomes t equals 6n minus 5. Once again, if you're asked to use that, here we must find the 50th term. So we replace the n with 50. 6 times 50 is 300. 300 take away 5 is 295. So we write an answer. The 50th term will be 295. Now if you found that complicated, please go through the video again and then go on to your checkpoint.